Have you ever felt something inside you that you couldn't explain? Like a quiet storm swirling beneath your skin? Have you ever walked into a room and felt the energy shift, like something ancient and invisible just woke up with you? Most of us walk through life believing that we are ordinary, that our senses are limited, that what we see, hear, and touch is all there is. But what if I told you that you've been lied to not out of malice, but out of fear? That buried deep within your soul, shielded by distraction, trauma, and noise, are 7 dark powers you were never told you already have. Not dark in the sense of evil, but dark as in hidden, mysterious, raw powers that were kept from you because if you ever accessed them, you would no longer be controllable. You would no longer be afraid. You would no longer be asleep. I want you to imagine something with me. Close your eyes for just a second and feel your breath. Not just the air, but the breath, your life force. Now imagine that every inhale pulls energy from the unseen into you, and every exhale sends your intentions out into the infinite. That breath is the key to the first dark power, the power of presence. Yes, presence. We don't think of it as a superpower, do we? But let me ask you, when was the last time you were fully present? Not reacting, not escaping, not thinking about what's next, but here, now, in this moment. The power of presence is the ability to bend time. When you are fully present, time slows down. You see things others don't. You hear the silence between words. You feel the heartbeat of the universe. Presence is a weapon and a shield. It prevents manipulation. It magnifies intuition. And when you truly master it, people will feel your energy before you speak. That's not philosophy. That's frequency. You've had this power since you were born, but the world taught you to fear stillness, to run from silence, to numb the now. Why? The second dark power is even more hidden. It's the power of emotional transmutation. This is not about suppressing your emotions. It's about using the energy of your emotions, especially the negative ones, as fuel. Anger, sadness, fear, rage, these are not flaws. They are raw, untamed energy. You were taught to hide them, medicate them, apologize for them. But what if I told you those emotions are sacred messages from your higher self? What if your rage is a fire meant to burn down the lies you've built your life around? What if your sadness is the ocean tide pulling you back to the truth? When you learn to stop judging your emotions and instead alchemize them, you become unstoppable. You stop reacting and start creating. That's the key: creation. Every time you feel triggered, you are being handed raw spiritual material. Will you waste it, or will you mold it into art, action, or awakening?
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
Let's go deeper. The third dark power is the power of energetic influence. This is probably the one they most wanted you to forget. Why? Because if you remember this one, the illusion of power collapses. You and I, every one of us, emit an energetic field. This field is not metaphorical. It's electromagnetic, measurable. It extends beyond your body and it interacts with the world before your words ever do. Think about it. Have you ever walked into a room and just known something was off? Or met someone and instantly felt drawn to them or repelled? That's energy. But here's the secret. Most people's energetic field is on autopilot. It's reacting to emotions, environments, and other people. But you can train your energy. You can program your field like a frequency tower. You can walk into a space and shift the vibration of the room. You can calm chaos. You can inspire clarity. You can ignite attraction. Not with words, with presence and intention. The question is, how often are you aware of the energy you're broadcasting? Now, I want to ask you something, and I want you to be brutally honest with yourself. When was the last time you trusted your own intuition, even when it made no logical sense? That brings us to the fourth dark power, the power of intuitive knowing. This is not about being psychic. This is about remembering that your soul sees ahead of your mind. Intuition is the language of soul memory. It speaks in whispers, in gut feelings, in dreams, synchronicities, and chills. Every time you say, "Something about this doesn't feel right," and you ignore it, that's self-betrayal. And every time you follow it, even when it terrifies you, that's self-initiation. You are not logical first. You are energetic first. But logic has been placed on a throne, and intuition buried beneath shame and ridicule. Why? Because an intuitive population cannot be lied to. It cannot be manipulated. It cannot be enslaved. If you remembered how strong your intuition is, you'd start asking questions you were never supposed to ask, and you'd start seeing things others are too afraid to see. And here's the thing. You don't access these powers by chasing them. You access them by remembering them. They are already yours. You're not becoming more. You are peeling back the layers of falsehood to reveal what was always there. But remembering comes with consequences. You will lose people. You will lose illusions. You will lose comfort. That is the price of power. Are you willing to pay it? Let's talk about the fifth dark power. This is not for the faint of heart. It's the power of shadow integration. The shadow is the part of you that you were taught to hide. Your jealousy, your anger, your lust, your pride, these were all labeled as bad, so you stuffed them into your unconscious. But the shadow doesn't disappear. It leaks. It controls you from behind the curtain. You think you're making choices, but your shadow is pulling the strings. Integration is the process of turning toward the darkness, not to be consumed by it, but to reclaim it. When you own your shadow, it loses power over you. You become whole. You stop pretending to be light, and you become real. The most enlightened people I know are not pure. They are integrated. They know their darkness, and they hold it with compassion instead of shame. Your shadow is not your enemy. It's your teacher. Will you listen to it? Or will you keep running? And now, sixth, comes the power that scares even the most spiritual among us. The power of conscious destruction. To create something new, you must be willing to destroy what no longer serves. That includes beliefs, identities, relationships, habits, and sometimes even dreams. Most people cling to the old because it's familiar, even if it's killing them. But your soul came here to evolve, and evolution is messy. Destruction is not chaos, it is sacred. Like the forest fire that clears the dead wood, so new life can grow. When you wield destruction consciously, you stop being a victim of change and become the initiator of transformation. What in your life needs to burn right now? What are you holding on to that is holding you back? Can you love yourself enough to let it go? We've only touched the surface. There's one more dark power, the one that ties all the others together, and it's the one you've been using unconsciously every single day. But when you finally awaken to it fully, everything changes. The seventh dark power, the one that has been hiding in plain sight, is the power of word and intention. Not just speech, not just affirmations. I'm talking about the vibrational weapon that is your voice, your language, your sacred utterance. This power is ancient. It's embedded in every spiritual tradition, every mystery school, every holy book. In the beginning was the word. Why? Because words are not just tools for communication, they are blueprints for creation. When you speak, you cast spells. That's why it's called spelling. And if you don't become conscious of your language, you will continue to unconsciously program your life, your mind and your energy with frequencies that don't even belong to you. Let me ask you something that might shake you. Whose words live inside your mind right now? When you doubt yourself, whose voice is that? When you say, "I'm not good enough"? Who first planted that seed? Because here's the truth. Every time you speak something, you are reinforcing a timeline. If you speak with doubt, you reinforce a future of limitation. If you speak with fear, you attract more reasons to be afraid. But if your words carry clarity, purpose, and power, the universe bends. Reality reorganizes itself around your vibration. This is not metaphor. This is physics. Sound is frequency. Frequency is vibration. Vibration is energy. And energy is the fabric of the universe. You are not a passive participant in life, you are the author. You are the coder of the matrix. Every sentence you speak is a line of code. But here's the catch: we've been trained to speak powerlessly. We say things like, "I can't. I'm just not that type of person. That always happens to me." And every time we do, we are casting a vote for a future we claim not to want. Why do we do this? Because power comes with responsibility. If your words truly shape reality, then you can no longer blame others for your life. You must take full ownership. That's terrifying, but it's also liberating. Because once you realize that your voice is a wand, you no longer wait for miracles, you speak them into existence. Now, I want you to try something radical. For the next 24 hours, become hyper-aware of your words. Don't allow yourself to speak anything that contradicts your truth or your potential. Replace "I'm tired" with "my body is recalibrating." Replace "I'm broke" with "I'm in a financial reset." Replace "I'm lost" with "I'm in the process of rediscovering myself." Watch what happens. Your body will start to respond. Your energy field will shift. People will react to you differently. Because you are no longer leaking power, you are channeling it. And don't stop with words. Infuse them with intention. Intention is the emotional and spiritual charge behind your words. Without intention, words are hollow. But when your words are backed by belief, emotion, and clarity, they become unstoppable. If you say, "I am healing" with full presence, your cells listen. If you say, "I am stepping into my purpose" and mean it, the path begins to reveal itself. That's the hidden truth. Your reality is always listening. The question is, what are you saying to it? So here we are. 7 dark powers: presence, transmutation, energetic influence, intuition, shadow integration, destruction, word and intention. They were never outside of you. You were never missing anything. You were simply distracted. You were conditioned to forget. But now that you're waking up, the question becomes, what will you do with this power? Will you go back to sleep? Or will you rise? Now that you've begun to remember these 7 dark powers, these primal, divine, untamed forces that were always inside you, you may start to feel a strange tension rising, a pull between the world you've always known and the one you're beginning to see. That tension is not just internal. It's the outer reflection of an ancient war, a spiritual war that has been raging quietly, invisibly, right in front of you. And here's the uncomfortable truth. You were born into this war without your consent, and the weapons used against you are silence, distraction, and comfort. They never wanted you to wake up. Because when you wake up, you stop being a pawn in someone else's game and start becoming a creator in your own. Think about it. If every human being on this planet suddenly activated their intuitive knowing, their emotional transmutation, their energetic influence, what would happen to systems built on fear, guilt, and obedience? They would collapse overnight. Entire industries rely on you forgetting your power. They need you to feel small, so you buy the illusion of worth. They need you exhausted, so you never have the energy to question. They need you addicted to comfort, scrolling endlessly, because the moment you sit in silence, the voice of your soul begins to whisper, and that whisper is dangerous. That whisper is revolution. But the war isn't fought with bullets or bombs. It's fought with narratives, with information, with the subtle shaping of desires and fears. You were programmed from childhood through education, media, culture to believe in limitations. You were told who you are, what's possible, what's safe, what's acceptable. And those who stepped outside of that were labeled as crazy, rebellious, dangerous. But what if the ones you were taught to fear were actually the ones who remembered the truth? What if the black sheep, the mystics, the outcasts, the wanderers, they weren't lost? They were just awake. This isn't about conspiracy. This is about consciousness. The real war is for your attention, because where your attention goes, energy flows. And when all your attention is hijacked by fear, division, and distraction, your energy becomes fragmented. You lose your coherence. You lose your clarity. But when you reclaim your attention, when you choose to focus on presence, truth, and inner alignment, you become a threat. Not because you're violent, but because you're free. And a free human being is the most dangerous organism to any system built on control. Let me ask you something. Why do you think ancient wisdom was hidden, burned, or buried? Why were sacred texts rewritten? Why were spiritual leaders silenced or turned into idols rather than teachers? Because truth cannot be owned. And when truth is free, people wake up. They stop outsourcing their authority. They stop waiting for salvation. They stop obeying out of fear and start creating out of love. That's the moment the system begins to shake. But awakening is not easy. It's not glamorous. It's not a trend. It's a death and a rebirth. When you start to remember who you really are, everything false begins to fall away. Your relationships may shift. Your job may no longer feel aligned. Your identity, the one built on survival, begins to dissolve. And that's terrifying, because awakening always comes with loss. But what you lose in comfort, you gain in clarity. What you lose in illusion, you gain in sovereignty. And that trade is worth everything. You are not waking up by accident. You're hearing this message because your soul called it in. There are no coincidences in this realm. There are only invitations. And the question is, will you step through the door? Will you dare to live with your eyes open, your heart unlocked, your voice unfiltered, your energy unchained? Because in this spiritual war, you don't fight by attacking. You fight by awakening. You fight by remembering. You fight by living so freely, so truthfully, that others cannot help but begin to question their own cages. That's how the matrix breaks, not with force, but with frequency. So now you know. You've remembered what was hidden. You've seen the 7 dark powers not as curses, but as sacred tools, gifts etched into your soul long before your birth. The veil is thinner now. The question echoing louder. What will you do with this power? Because knowledge alone changes nothing. Power without direction becomes chaos. But power with intention, that's where destiny begins. You are not just a spiritual being having a human experience. You are a creator, a sculptor of reality. And everything in your life, your relationships, your health, your abundance, your peace, are all being shaped by the way you wield these 7 forces. Let's bring it all together. Presence is your gateway. Without presence, you are a ghost in your own life, reacting to everything and creating nothing. So every day you must return to your body, to your breath, to the now. Make presence your default setting. Walk slower. Breathe deeper. Speak less, but with more truth. The more present you become, the more power you hold. Because power is never found in the past or the future. It's only found right here, right now. Then comes emotional transmutation. Stop running from your feelings. Run toward them. Let anger move through you like fire to burn falsehoods. Let sadness wash you clean. Let fear become focus. These emotions are sacred allies when you stop judging them. Instead of saying, "Why do I feel this?" ask, "What is this feeling trying to show me?" Let every emotion become a message, a compass. When you feel deeply, you live deeply. And when you live deeply, you create deeply. Your energetic influence is no longer accidental, it is intentional. You walk into every room aware that your aura speaks before you do. You no longer leak energy by seeking validation or shrinking your light. You charge your field through morning rituals, breathwork, presence, and clear boundaries. People feel you before they understand you, and that's the power of being energetically sovereign. You no longer absorb everyone's emotions. You transmute them. You anchor peace in chaos. You become the still point in a spinning world. Intuition becomes your GPS. You don't need all the answers. You just need to trust the next step your soul is showing you. That whisper, that nudge, that strange coincidence that keeps appearing. Follow it. Let your logical mind serve your intuitive knowing, not override it. Intuition is how your higher self speaks. And when you trust it, even when it terrifies you, you begin to live in alignment with a timeline that's already been written in your soul's language. Shadow integration becomes your superpower. You no longer fear your darkness. You sit with it, talk to it, learn from it. You realize that the parts of you you were taught to hate are actually where your gold is buried. You become whole not by being perfect, but by being real. You forgive yourself. You hold space for the messy, the raw, the wild, because that's where your humanity meets your divinity. And in that meeting, true transformation begins. Conscious destruction now becomes a sacred practice. You don't just let go, you release with ritual, with reverence. You stop clinging to dying identities. You make space for rebirth. You understand that to become who you truly are, something must die and you allow it. You kiss the past goodbye with gratitude. You burn the old temples so the new can rise. You become a sacred destroyer, not out of hate but out of love. And finally, your words and intentions become the brushstrokes painting your destiny. You speak life. You speak truth. You speak power. Every word is chosen with care, with clarity, with creative fire. You declare your future. You affirm your worth. You bless your path. And the universe, like a great mirror, begins to reflect it all back to you. So, now what? You've remembered. You've been initiated. You've crossed the threshold. The old version of you can't come with you anymore. The small self must fall away. The people who don't recognize you anymore, let them fade. You're not here to be understood. You're here to be aligned. This is the return of the Creator. You're not waiting for destiny. You're shaping it with your breath, your presence, your energy, your truth, your shadow, your destruction, your word. This isn't the end. This is the beginning. You are one of the few who dares to remember. You are one of the few who chose to wake up. So now I ask you, what will you do with the power you've always had? Choose, speak, create. Because the world isn't waiting for another leader. It's waiting for you.